I'm not kidding you. I think this is my favorite base that I've ever done. Like the products all together, perfection. This is in dull lighting too. I definitely wore too much highlighter in middle school and high school, but I have been seeing the baddies on my explore page wearing a lot of highlighter again. Today, I'm gonna create a summer dewy look, but with a lot of highlight, okay? In order to pull off a very highlighted face, we need a dewy base to match. The mistake I made was I had a completely matte face and I decided to smear Trophy Wife all over my face. We're not doing that again today. We're gonna use Trophy Wife though. We are, but we need to match the skin with the highlight. It is a hot day today, so we're using the Anastasia Hydra Prime SPF 50 primer. I've been using this for a few weeks now, and I love the way that it sits on the skin. I do avoid the lips though, because I don't like the way it tastes. You know, that SPF taste. Just look at the way that primer sits on the skin. Perfect. Next, going in with my Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Glow Serum. This is just gonna add another layer of luminosity and hydration. I make sure this is completely pressed into the skin before I start my foundation or concealer because I don't want it to pill. Okay, she's in there. Now that we look like a glazed donut, we can start with the makeup. Starting off with the Tear stick side of the concealer, I'm gonna go over some marks that I have because I am using a skin tint instead of a foundation. I'm just going to press that into the skin. Now we have a layer hiding our blemishes. If you know me, you know that I go in with my under eye concealer before I do my foundation. Using my brighter shade of Hourglass on the inner corner and a deeper shade on the outer part of the eye. Taking my Huda color corrector in Peach just to add a little bit of color correcting under the eyes because I find if I don't use this, it turns out way too bright and almost ghostly. As you can see, the Peach sort of neutralized the under eyes so it looks more skin-like. Under eyes are done, now time for our skin tint. e.l.f. Halo Glow Skin Tint. I reviewed this for the first time the other day and I'm pleasantly surprised. You guys, this is my Real Techniques bubble blending brush and this is literally my new favorite foundation brush. Unfortunately, it doesn't come bedazzled, but they sent it to me and I love you guys for that. Taking my e.l.f. skin tint on this and I'm just going to drag that on the face right below that concealer, overlapping just a little bit just to blend it in. I had blemishes right here, and as you can see, because that spot conceal, this skin tint lays perfectly on it. Look at that. So good. Like, really? Really, e.l.f.? It's so lightweight on the skin, but it gives you that real skin dew. It doesn't look too unrealistic, like an unrealistic glow. It just looks natural in the best way. I feel like this is the perfect base for today's look. Popping a little bit more of that deeper concealer to my forehead and chin. For bronzing, I'm going with my Natasha Denona High Sculpt Liquid Bronzer. Thinning that out on the back of my hand before going in. And I'm placing that just below my cheekbone, not too far down, so we still have that lifted effect. And I focus that right in this area, making sure I bleed it into my hairline so it's not just chopped off, babe. Some on the temples as well to tie the whole face in together. Basically on the framing of the face is where I put this product. And you will never see me apply a cream product without grabbing my beauty sponge once again after, just to make sure everything is blended in together. Okay, so Anastasia recently dropped these blush trios, and when I tell you, they are my favorite. At first, I thought you only get this little bit of product, and I was like, how do I even fit my brush in there? But they're bigger. These are their Magic Touch blush trios, and I go in with the peach one. And before I set my face, I'm gonna add some blush. I'm gonna mix these two shades, which are absolutely beautiful together. And I'm gonna place that right here, going up the side of the face. And of course, with a dewy look, you gotta have a peachy blush. I mean, what? I love palettes like these because you can literally customize the shade that you get. Once again, I don't add a cream without going back in with my beauty sponge to make sure everything is seamless. Now, when you want to create a dewy look, but it's time to set the face, you have to be specific about the products you use and where you put them. For my under eyes and T-zone, I went in with this Kosas Cloud Set Powder in Peachy. If you ever get that dark film across the top of your powder, it's probably because you're using a dirtier powder puff, which is fine, but if you want to get rid of that film, you just take a spoolie and you just lightly drag it across and it'll get rid of that top film. That's kind of why mine's a little rigidy. I just did that. I take a powder puff on this pressed powder and I press right underneath my eyes, around under my nose, my chin, and a little bit on the center of my forehead. And then to set the rest of the face, I switch to a different pressed powder. This is the one from Rare Beauty in the shade Ivory. This one just gives the thinnest, most natural looking film so you don't have such a matte face, but it still locks everything in. I'll take a fluffy brush and gently dab this on the remainder of the face that I didn't use that original pressed powder on. As you can see, it still keeps that skin's luminosity because we don't want to get rid of everything we put on the skin to make the face dewy. We want to keep that. We just want to lock it in. So I love this powder for that reason. Like, it does not take away from the sheen. Now that the face is locked in, we have room to work with powders. This is my Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Blurring Bronzer in the shade Medium Dark. And I am basically just putting this on top of everywhere I use that cream bronzer. Also using the same bronzer to sculpt out the nose. And I always connect my nose contour to my eyebrow, going into that eyebrow just a little bit so everything is seamless. Once again, when you want to keep a dewy base and you go in with baking powder, you have to be careful with the placement. I want to be a little pinky under the eyes, so I'm taking my Huda Beauty Cherry Blossom Cake Easy Bake Powder, and I'm taking a different powder puff, and I'm first going to put it on the edge of the powder puff because I want to cut out the outside of my nose contour. And then I will coat the entire powder puff and spread this powder underneath the eye going up. Once again, coating the edge to cut out that nose contour, spreading it out, and then lightly packing this underneath the eye. I said you want to be careful with the placement of this because sometimes it drags too much onto the cheek, and I kind of want to dust that off because I want to keep the luminosity. I don't want to bake my cheeks. I just want to bake underneath the eye all the way up to the lower lash line. I don't usually let it sit that long, maybe like 30 seconds to a minute. I always take a brush that looks like this. This one's from NARS, dense enough to press in the powder and dust it off. I always want my T-zone as mattified as possible and the outer parts of my face as luminous. I will dust off that bake sort of downwards, pressing in and swiping. Now, as you can see, our T-zone has zero shine whatsoever, but we still have that luminosity on the outer parts of the face. I'm gonna quickly throw something on the eyes and come back to show you guys the highlighter part since that is the main part of this video. All right, eyes are done and out of the way. Now time for this highlight, guys. Perfect timing because Fenty Beauty just sent me this jaw-dropping box. This trophy wife is what I wore every single day in middle school and high school, but just a little too much and too little blending, okay? You know you're gonna be doing a lot of highlighter when you pick out a specific brush to do your nose with. I'm going in with shades How Many Carats and Trophy Wife for today. This is what they look like, so I feel like if I mix them together, it would be perfect. I'm gonna highlight the nose first because whenever I see someone with a very highlighted face, I feel like their nose is very specific. So I'm taking some Trophy Wife and I'm dusting that on the very tip of my nose. Yep, I'm getting flashbacks along with the bridge. And then I'm dipping into How Many Carats on the other side of the brush, and I'm laying that right on top just to give it more of an iridescent glow and topping that bridge with that as well. Oh my god, you guys. Oh my gosh, you guys. Wait, I freaking love it. Next, I'm moving on to the brow bone. Trophy Wife first, then How Many Carats on top. Oh my god, and it looks like wet. Like, this is such a good highlighter. Using the eyeshadow brush I use just to kind of blend that into the highlight so it's not splotchy whatsoever. And then I'm repeating exactly what I just did, but on the very highest point of my cheek. Oh my gosh, this is insane, you guys. Like, are we kidding? Can we talk about this highlighter combo though? Taking this clean brush that's kind of fluffy, and I'm just going to lightly dust this over so everything can just turn into one. See, a lot of highlighter can look so good. So good. When did we get scared of highlighter? Wait, but I did notice these pencils in here, or these eyeshadow sticks, and I really want to use one. Let me swatch really quick. Oh, okay, well, I'm definitely popping her on the inner corner of my eye. Oh my god. Rihanna, what the heck? I'm gonna lock everything in with my setting spray combo. Charlotte Tilbury first. One size next. And since we are doing a dewy look, I'm taking my Rhode Blazing Mist. And that just gives you a really skin-like sheen. For lips, I'm going with this Lawless lip liner, but it doesn't have a shade on it. It says CO53. I don't know if that's a shade, but it doesn't have a word shade. I'm gonna find it for you guys and add it to my ShopMy. I just had to go grab this combo out of my purse because I've been wearing it every single day this week. My Fenty Gloss Bomb Stick and Is It Fussy. Placing that in the center. The shine this gives is like something I've never seen. And then my new Dolce & Gabbana Oil Lip Plumper in orange. I'm just topping the lips with that. I feel like this slight orange tint gives it such a summery look. You guys cannot tell me that this very highlighty, dewy look is not the shit. This is so good. I literally look like I'm ready to go back to Greece and have the time of my life. I will never stop talking about Greece. NARS, what did you do to me? Wait, you guys, this came in that same Fenty package. This is the Fenty Beauty How Many Carats Body Lava. This on very deep skin literally looks unreal. Obviously, I don't have very deep skin, but I want to see what it looks like on me. I feel like we have to have a wet, shiny looking chest to complete this look. See on the shoulder first. Okay, this is beautiful. I'm gonna say it does look even better on deeper skin. I'm so happy with this look. Trophy Wife is gaining a place on the makeup counter, my everyday makeup counter. I can't get away from her. Like, this is too good. Too good, you guys. Little close-up moment. 10 out of freaking 10. Where are we going? Where are we going right now?